Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time is here. That's right, we're talking about Predator on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the deadly jungles of 1980s Central America. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. Now we're going to unpack all the gun blastiness details of 1987's Predator in the hopes that a mercenary's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes that we might make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust, that when she says, "Come here," I won't be stabbed in the back. She'll be stabbing a scorpion off of me. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Anytime.
It's true. I'm trying to get my Billy laugh in there. It's like something out of a video game.
Everybody, the Billy is just out of a video game. He's like a second tier character in Super Punch Out.
Yeah, it doesn't seem wrong, to be honest with you. Oh my God, what a motion picture! But we'll get into it. I don't want to alarm you. Those sounds you hear in the background mean that we're not alone in this jungle. That's right, we have a special guest. You know her as one of the hosts of Let's Get Weirding, a dude podcast, and of course, as a returning champion to Kill by Kill, the one, the only Megan Sunday. How are you doing today, Megan?
I am doing fantastic.
Now, you have many loves in your life. Obviously, Dune is amongst them. You love the weirdest sides of the internet, but amongst those loves would be a little boy we like to call Predator.
It's true. It's true.
Yes.
And all of his buddies.
All his nicest friends. When did you first encounter Predator?
Oh my gosh, probably as a kid. I feel like it's one of those movies that was always on TBS.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
And I think my dad would leave it on, and then I would watch it, and it just became one of those. It's such a great background movie.
Right.
Like, I've got stuff to do. I'm going to put Predator on.
It's not like it's got plot developments that are going to rock your mind.
Once you've seen it,
it's a pretty straight line.
You're kind of like, I know what's happening in Predator right now.
Yeah. Oh, they're blowing up a camp? Okay, that's the end of Act 1. The end of Commando is the end of Act 1 of Predator. That's
yeah, you're not missing a lot. And when they try in later movies to be like, now we're putting some plot in, like, no, shh.
Yeah.
Predator. Where's a predator?
No. Don't you visit your mandible
is.
lips. Just give me action,
I'm
please.
just going to put my finger right there, but not too close because I don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
Imagine like variation on that Let People Like Things cartoon where you just kind of like squishing together the Predator's mandibles.
Like the whole face. Just like, I don't actually know which part I'm doing here. Ooh.
Please, if you're a listener to the show and you know how to draw things, can you recreate Let People Like Things, only the person is shushing the Predator? We need this. My kingdom for this. Gina, when did you first encounter our sweet boy Predator?
I think this was a cable hit for me. I did not see this in the theater. This was in the golden era of Commando, Cobra, of Terminator. So cable was probably at its peak.
Yes.
During this point, the 86 to 1990 era. So these were again much like the Beastmaster era. If you came across it and it was on, you left it on and you watched that whole thing from beginning to end. You watch that thing from halfway through to end for the last 45 minutes to the end. But if you stumbled across Predator, you sat there and you watched it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I did watch this in the theater. It was a process. We had to convince a guy because we were turned away from the ticket place for being too young. So we had to find somebody who was also seeing Predator of age who would buy tickets for all of us. And we duped some dude and he bought us tickets to Predator at the AMC 10, the theater that no longer exists in its current, that form. It's now a parking lot when the new AMC moved across the street. And it blew my fucking mind. It was everything I ever wanted. It was Aliens, but different. This is what I love about Predator is that it's everything that we all say we don't like in a lot of modern movies. It's a hybrid. It's a man on a mission war film. It's a Seven Samurai collection of skilled characters action adventure. It's a most dangerous game thriller. It's 3 Days of the Condor political mystery. It's a sci-fi monster flick. And it's a slasher film with its own killer POV style and gore. Now, I said, oh, this is coming out, you're like, oh, that's going to be terrible. No one can balance that much. And Predator is one of the few films that can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned all the different genres it touches upon because most people would just consider, oh, it's a monster movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is. It's a great monster movie, but it has all these other elements that are threaded through it. And so they kind of bounce off of one another in a very interesting way. It all boils down to jungle survival, but all these other things do make appearances. They influence the plot. If you knew nothing going into it, I think you might be genuinely surprised when it becomes the movie that it ends up becoming.
Mm-hmm. Sort of like what happened later with I told my story about From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
About going to see it with a group of friends and a half hour goes in and no vampires show up and my friend angrily leans over and says, I thought you said this was a vampire movie. And I'm just like, that said it was? Maybe we walked into the wrong theater. I mean, the title card said From Dusk Till Dawn.
And Robert Rodriguez, who is, went on to direct Predators with $. On the special features that are on my disc, he name checks Predator as one of the reasons he was like, I know I can do Dusk Till Dawn because it's the same sort of thing. You think it's one movie and then it becomes a different movie. Now, he admits that From Dusk Till Dawn takes a harder turn, but if you don't know it going into it, you would be perfectly satisfied with the action adventure movie it is until it becomes this other film. And I think that's a very rare bird. There's only so many movies that have been able to accomplish that sort of thing. I would probably count, Gina, your beloved An American Werewolf in London as one of those films that's able to walk the tightrope.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
So before we get too far, let's talk about a little bit of the history of Predator. It was a script that was originally titled Hunter by brothers Jim and John Thomas. They were not particularly successful at the time they wrote this. They actually snuck onto the Fox lot on Pico and slipped it under the door of a development exec. And from there, it was read and passed on up the line. They stated in interviews that they were inspired to write this because there was a joke after Rocky IV came out that Rocky Balboa had defeated every fighter on Earth, so the only contenders left would be from outer space. And they're like, all right, it's funny, but there's a movie there. So the script gets to a guy named Michael Levy at Fox. He would end up being Fox's sort of Predator, the holder of the mantle of Predator as it would continue on. But he brings on John Davis, who is a producer on Commando, to develop the property. So Davis then goes out to Joel Silver and Lawrence Gordon. They bring in Arnold. They had all worked on Commando together. And then the four of them decide on John McTiernan as the man to direct this picture. John McTiernan whose only previous film up until this point was a supernatural horror film called Nomads. And I've seen this film and I can't remember a fucking thing about it beyond the fact that Remington Steele has a beard. That's it.
I remember it existing, but I could not tell you the plot or anything like that. Like I didn't even remember that Remington Steele had a beard in it.
He's on the cover. It's a very painted cover, and he's running like, "Oh no, Nomads is after me," and you're like, "I don't know what the fuck that is."
I love when movies do that when they're like, "Here is this horror." What?
Yeah. And I don't know why they thought the horror crowd would go, "Oh my God, if you get Remington Steele in a movie and with a beard, because then he'll look really different." They'll come and see it in droves, and they did not. But for whatever reason, everyone seemed to think, all right, this guy has got it. And it's true. McTiernan would go on to direct some absolutely insanely good motion pictures. And he has a few truly unfathomable flops. Like, if you have ever seen the remake of Rollerball, I'm sorry. And if you haven't, by God and heaven's decree, do not. It is bad.
I like to think that sort of delayed reaction killed James Caan. May he rest in peace.
Yes, it's quite
like
possible.
he just discovered that there was a remake of Rollerball. He's like,
Oh.
They did what now? It was who from American Pie?
Oh.
Drop Dead. Now-
that guy. Anyway.
Yeah. So here's the other thing about John McTiernan, which makes him a little bit difficult. We'll kind of like get off of him, because the other component to McTiernan, beyond the fact that he, directed Die Hard after this, and also the Thomas Crown Affair, which the remake, a good remake, like a truly good film. I suggest everyone watch the original and the remake. They're sexy.
Pierce Brosnan without a beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This one.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal. He also lied to the FBI.
Oh.
And then they told him, please stop lying to us. And he's like, yeah, gotcha. I'm going to tell you some more lies, like it won't come back to burn me. And then he went to jail for a while. He was lying for Anthony Pellicano, who is a LA fixer / PI. He was a terrible man and not particularly sure why he thought he could get away with it, but he absolutely thought he did, and then he didn't, and now he don't direct no more. I think he's done some stuff for TV, but he shot his reputation to hell, and for gross reasons. It turned out he was kind of a grosso. That being said, he directs the hell out of this motion picture. He stays with the human characters. He is trying to let them reveal themselves, even though they are dressed in camo to blend into the background. Everything about this movie is fucking amazing. It was filmed in Mexico in real jungles, but they could not figure out how to make the jungle actually translate on film because it was so dense. So basically they would edit down branches so that you would have a foreground and a background, and they would bring in large fake trees and shit like that. And as a result, it does make for a very interesting palette. There's always something in front of you. There's always something behind it. And when they did it in 3D, when they post converted it to 3D, it fucking worked because it's lensed that well.
I didn't know that about the just, putting in fake trees.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Anytime you see a giant tree, that giant tree is fake.
Is the sweat real?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me that.
Unlike the giant tree in Commando that stands in for Arnold Schwarzenegger's penis. These giant trees are for visual enjoyment.
And standing in.
Yeah. Most of the filming locations that they found in Mexico were all on hills. So everything you're seeing is basically heading downhill or heading uphill. there's a tension to everything. The cameramen are trying to keep balance. The actors are trying to keep balance. And I think it translates. Everyone is unmoored once they discover that they're not in control of the situation anymore. It just translates. From the moment you hit the jungle, the camera never stops fucking moving, and it's focused on the characters' emotional reactions to whatever they're coming across, whether or not it's, I don't believe the CIA agent, or the jungle has come alive and killed my friend. You don't know if it's the camera moving to tell you something or the predator's POV. So all of it, I don't think this is a particularly scary movie, but it is an unnerving motion picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that. It's the issue with a movie like this is that it's hard to come across as scary because, one, you kind of can tell what's going to happen in most of this. I mean, you know, people are going to get blown up. Like, it's like, this is what's happening.
Sure.
But then it doesn't, it's certainly not a movie that has lingering fear. Like, I don't worry that there's a predator outside my window right now.
Right. Yes. I considered showing this to Oliver just because
they can't fit under the bed. They're too big.
No.
They're too big. They can't hide in my
big.
closet. They're too tall.
Yeah. They're not going to hide in your neighborhood. That's just not really the way it works. And that's part of the problem when we get to Predator 2 is that
He's just hanging out.
The tension isn't quite there.
That's Predator 2, Predator in the City.
Yeah, that's right.
I do like how in Predator 2, like the scene where where Danny Glover's chasing him through like the apartment building. It sort of reminds me of the scene in Ghostbusters where the possessed dogs escape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of them in the hallway, the old lady comes out, she's like, "Ow!" And
Yeah.
turns right back in her apartment. I just sort of feel like that's very, very similar, possibly intentionally, in Predator 2.
Yes.
That's who I would be in
agree.
any of these situations. Like, I don't know what you're doing out
Open
there.
the door, look outside.
Locking my door.
Like you've gone for an Airbnb palapa in the Central American, area, and you come out for your morning cafe and you see a predator jumping from treetop to treetop, and you're like, not today, and right back inside you go.
Like, I am not armed. I am going back inside. We are cool, you and me. You do what you have to do.
Yes.
This is your own business.
And this movie, like so many of the ones that we've talked about, is a bit of a miracle because this has a bit of Jaws going on because the shark was not working. The original Predator design came from McTiernan's camp. It's kind of an insectoid looking thing with backward legs. It's, how can I put this politically? Lame. It's fucking lame. And this movie would have bombed hard if that original design ended up seeing the light of day. Even worse, the suit that they used to create the stealth look was created of red foam because the sky was blue and the jungle was green. So they knew they would pick up the exact opposite from red. But this giant foamy red lobster suit had one hidden facet to it. And that was the muscles from Brussels himself, Jean-Claude Van Damme inside it, who ended up grumbling his ass off because no one could see his face or his fighting style in this red foamy lobster costume. And so luckily for everyone involved, the production ran out of its $50 million budget and they had to go back to Hollywood, and he created an assembly cut of what he had. And you're like, this is great. Fox is thrilled and like, so where's the monster? And he shows them the monster, like, oh, fuck. We're fucked. Everyone, I've seen the Predator monster. He's terrible. He's fucking terrible. So everyone, like, Schwarzenegger's like, I have just the guy for the job. And he calls up Stan Winston. And Stan Winston's like, yeah, I'll take that gig. But I'm flying, I'll design something. I'm flying to Japan. for the Japanese premiere of Aliens. So when I get back, I'll show you what I got. So he's on the plane. Who's sitting next to him? Why, it's the director of Alien $ himself, James Cameron. And James Cameron looks at what he's drawing with the dreadlocks and the mask. He's like, "What's under the mask?" He's like, I'm not sure yet. And he goes, "You know what you should do? You should have mandibles, giant mandibles. I always wanted to have a monster with mandibles." And Stan Winston's like, "Oh, that's silly. Add mandibles." And lo and behold, he creates one of the greatest monster designs of all fucking time with James Cameron.
Just wearing a mesh shirt like he's going clubbing later.
You have to understand, Gina, that's armor.
Whoa. Time out. The mesh shirt is armor from what? Like rave drugs?
I don't pretend to understand their culture, but I know that that's armor.
I guess it's supposed to be like poorly made chainmail or something.
Kinda, yeah. I think it kind of makes like a field.
Oh, okay. Sure. Because he's got lots of gadgets. He's got a lot of forearm gadgets.
Predators have so
maybe
much
it's
stuff.
To that.
They are they are a monster with stuff.
They are. They have all those dreadlocks have little silver things on them. So it's a wonder they don't make a lot of noise. And he wears bones for jewelry. Mm-hmm. This is the second time this year, Gina, we're covering a movie where someone wears bones.
Him and Drake.
Absolutely true. But why does he clatter if like you've got bones on you and you're just like jumping from tree to tree? Wouldn't that make noise?
You'd assume.
You would assume.
Again, I don't know.
So, Fox sees the designs for this thing and they're like, "All right, this is great, but like it can't be the same size as Jean-Claude Van Damme." They're like, no. We'll get somebody super, super tall. So they end up getting, and Winston says, "Oh, I know exactly the guy." And that person is Kevin Peter Hall, who had played Harry in Harry and the Hendersons. And I think he is another secret weapon of this motion picture because Kevin Peter Hall is an actual performance actor. He can give you body movement that conveys something that is tangible and real. Mm-hmm. He's also nearly 7 feet tall. So he fucking towers over a film filled with giant guys. So
yeah, he's basically like the 80s answer to Doug Jones.
Yes, yeah. I agree with you 100%. Doug Jones is a perfect one-to-one with him in terms of he brings character performances to the, when he's seen on screen. He's also in the movies, the helicopter pilot who's like, "Oh, fuck, that's a mushroom cloud." Just because they had filmed this fucking thing in 115-degree heat in that costume. And they estimated it was probably 126 inside.
Oh my God.
That is an insane thing to ask somebody to do, but he did it.
Also, I will correct myself really quickly just before anyone starts tweeting. Any predators start tweeting at us. The mesh is part of their armor, but it moderates their body temperature.
Oh, okay. Well,
all right.
By being mesh, I guess.
By being mesh.
But, I mean, that's why people wore mesh to nightclubs, too.
They wear it in Antarctica. In Alien versus
hot,
Predator.
Very stuffy.
So. Okay. So they're still wearing the mesh shirts in Aliens versus Predator?
Yes.
What about Aliens versus Predator 2, the only film that doesn't care about plot so much as sound design?
Yes. This is what they wear.
Yeah.
This is their whole deal.
Yes. I don't know that I can watch Aliens versus Predator 2 again. I'm not making that promise to anyone about it.
Yeah, I watched, I went through summer 2020 because, we were all bored and stuck at home. Mm-hmm. I watched all of the Alien and Predator movies, and then the Alien and Predator crossovers. The only one I did not watch was Predators. But I watched I watched the Alien V movies, and you know what? It's one of those movies. There's problems with sequels. It's like, okay, I've seen them. I could not tell you even 5 minutes after I watched them what happened in which movie.
Alien versus Predator is a meet cute rom-com.
Yeah.
Alien versus Predator Requiem is nonsense, but it has a Predalien.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a Predalien. It's terrible. It is one of the worst cinematic sins I've ever seen. I watched it on the Fox lot for free and still feel like my money was taken from me.
You could have been doing something else to make money with that.
Yes.
With that 2 hours.
And I just like rolled out of the office and I'm like, well, they're showing it at 6:30 and it's for free. And Becky's like, I'll be driving myself home. Thank you. I'm like, all right.
She's so wise.
And then afterwards, I was like, you made the right choice. So before we get into characters, because there ain't no plot to talk about, we'd like to talk about reactions of a film at its time. And you know who has great takes, everybody? It's Gene Noom-de-Pop Siskel. And he disliked this motion picture intensely. The amount of fist shaking I did as I watched his review on YouTube could have powered an engine. He at one point he says it's part Rambo, it's part Alien, a combo I'm personally very tired of. Which the fuck you talking about, Gene? How many of these movies have you seen? Part Rambo and part Alien. Name them.
Yeah, especially at the time. This is what did it.
Yes. What the fuck is he talking about? Aliens? That's one movie, which he didn't like. So fuck you, Gene.
There is only
take that Gene Herbert Siskel.
I mean,
Gene Roberto Siskel. Fuck off.
I'm no one to use hyperbole, but this is the greatest movie ever made. And the only problem with Predator is the F slur. That's it.
Sure. Yes.
And that you just, you just like drink your drink and go.
Yes.
1987.
Yeah, you know what but you turn on any movie during the 80s.
Exactly.
Movies made for children.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Monster Squad.
you want to talk about movies? Yeah, Monster Squad. Come on, get the fuck out of here. You know, I mean, they like, the only word they use more than the F slur is the.
Yeah.
Which
and that is a movie made for literal 12-year-olds.
Right, but also has the fingerprints of Shane Black. So, all right, we'll get to Shane Black. But let's anger our audience a little bit more. Elvis Mitchell, a reviewer I genuinely like, but here described the film as grisly and dull with few surprises. Really? Okay.
Dull.
A dude gets his literal skull and spine torn out of his body, and you're going to say that's dull.
Yeah. Well, you see any movie, any romantic comedy, that's bound to happen. A reviewer from Cinefantastique stated that, quote, the militarized monster movie tires under its own derivative weight. Derivative of what, Gene? This person was not named Gene, but let's just assume. The Los Angeles Times stated that it was, quote, arguably one of the emptiest, feeblest, and most derivative scripts ever made as a major studio movie. Ever made. And this year, the biggest movie at the box office was Three Men and a Baby. Okay? And this is the emptiest, feeblest, and most derivative scripts ever made by a studio.
A literal remake.
A literal French remake with more cocaine than you would think. There's a lot of cocaine involved in that Men and Baby movie.
And that's also a movie, like Gina was saying, that, I mean, it doesn't have, as far as I recall, any F slurs, but that's a movie that's kind of made for children that features a lot of sex.
Yes.
I remember watching that as a kid and being like, why are all these ladies always at their house?
But it's about 3 guys who are so busy fucking, they barely understand that a baby is around. And then when it is, they're like, I don't know how this operates. And one of them comes back in the middle of the second act. He's like, why are you keeping this baby around? And like, it's your fucking baby. And it turns out it's not. They can't tell which one of them produced this baby. Variety said slightly above average actioner.
Oh my
so
God.
that was nice.
What are these standards? That these people
I'll take
have?
it.
Adam Baker had one of those quotes that just like, this seems like a fucking disease. Unfortunately, special effects have also been substituted for suspense, which is not true. And, quote, the early appearance of the Predator makes the final gladiatorial conflict predictable.
Oh my God.
The see-through guy makes what happens at the end when Arnold Schwarzenegger turns into the kid from Home Alone. That's predictable because you saw an invisible alien zap somebody through the head. Like, what the fuck movie are these people watching?
Well, that's the argument that I had for the people on Twitter who were saying that Prey looks unbelievable because people with bows and arrows could fight a predator. Like, have you seen the movie Predator?
Literally, the denouement. Like, one of the reasons he wins is he uses a fucking bow and arrow. Like,
He uses a
Oh my
giant
God.
log.
he beats him with wood. Wood, everyone.
Also, if they have never encountered this creature before, how would they know what can and cannot kill it?
Yeah.
Precisely.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. It's
They don't even know they can kill it until they find the KY jelly.
Till they find the glow stick
Glow
juice.
stick juice. Glow stick juice.
Listen, if it bleeds glow stick juice, we can freak it, and that's the important part, Jane.
He drops his little cat in a hat.
Yeah.
His candy necklace broke. It's all over the place.
He's got to go to the chill down tent.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So the plot is that Arnold Schwarzenegger and his team of mercenaries usually rescue people out of hot zones. And they state very clearly right up front, we're not used by the government to just go in and kill people. And then the CIA is like, wink. And for some reason, Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I'm not quick on the pickup, so I'm just going to go on this mission that you're paying me to do. And they go on this mission, and it turns out that the people they're there to rescue are not there, weren't the people they were told they were going to be. Half of them are skinned alive. The other half are just shot by Sven-Ole Svensson, Arnold Schwarzenegger's weightlifting buddy, who we last saw in Conan the Barbarian on Patreon. And playing here a Central American general. Like,
Of course.
I think he's one of the Russians, because of course there's Russians.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he reads super Russian.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, more than Central American.
Megan pointed out to me a tragedy that among the people who went in before Arnold's team that was killed was one Jim Hopper.
Jim Hopper.
Yeah, that's true.
R.I.P.
My husband.
Sweet sheriff.
Jim Hopper.
It's hard for me to talk about this, but I must for Jim.
But did it
Jim
make
Hopper
it
would
slightly
never-
cooler that he's constantly referred to as Hopper?
Jim Hopper would never get
Hopper.
killed by a predator because he'd be out of there. He's got enough going on.
I mean, I don't know when he returns from some sort of neither world Russian prison camp. I don't know. Maybe he's ready to fight some predators.
Well, he is totally jacked and ripped.
I don't
right
like
now.
it.
Nah.
Don't like it.
You
Don't
need him
want
with
it.
the dad bod?
Yeah.
You need him
I
out
need the
by
dad
the porch
bod.
smoking?
Yep.
I need
Yep.
him. I need him cuddly.
Yep.
I need him cuddly.
That is the one thing. Ollie, I showed him Conan the Barbarian, which he totally fucking dug. He's like, what is
excellent.
this soup they're making for them with hands? I'm like, I don't know, man. Makes them horny. Horny hand soup. 2, he's like, I want to watch Stranger Things. And a chill went up my back because this is a kid who's been real knee deep in Scooby-Doo level scary for a while, but didn't want to make the leap. And then he's been getting into D&D since the beginning of the year. And of course, heard through the grapevine that they play D&D on the show. And so he's like, I want to watch it, but we have to watch it in the daytime. So we're up to episode 3 of the first season. And he's like, is that the Upside Down? Is it like, he knows all the fucking beats of the show.
Yeah, at this point.
There's no discovery for him. It's just proving what he's been told. What were we talking about again? Oh, Jim Hopper.
Jim Hopper, my love.
So they go into this, enemy camp. And like I said before, it's the end of Commando right at the beginning of the movie. And they blow the fuck out of so many people. I started to just count people who were on fire. And I stopped at 26.
They're very economical because they'll like throw a grenade and take out like 6 dudes at once.
Yes. But as a screenwriting technique, it's one thing for him to come in and class somebody in a high five and go, you son of a bitch. And you're like, okay, he's like super jacked, but he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I knew that beforehand. But you're told like they're the best of the best. And then they come into the place where they're outnumbered 100-1 and they blow the fuck out of these people. It is a wild 8-minute orgy of violence. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And then it turns out it was all for nothing. It's
all for nothing.
It's like that similar scene in The Suicide Squad. Like, oops.
Yes.
Oh, darn.
Gunn gets it. Gunn gets it. I think he's the other person who can kind of, run that tightrope of things. And he's about the only one I can accept pulling off a Predator level whammy on you these days.
They could put a Predator in Peacemaker.
Sure, absolutely.
Predator's been everywhere. Predator met Archie.
There was a whole Predator versus Batman or Batman versus Predator. I'm sorry. My apologies to Mr. Wayne. He had the top billing.
Yeah, he's gonna call you. He's gonna have his people call you.
But Batman also met the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's a bit of a Scooby-Doo himself.
I mean, so is the Predator at this point.
It's true.
Lord love him.
That's why I have high hopes for Prey. I think Prey looks good. I hope it is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our characters in the order in which they die. Oh my God, it's a regular kill by kill episode all of a sudden. Let's talk about our good friend Hawkins, played by Shane Black, who is uncredited here as rewriting the film, although the plot pretty much stayed the same. He just rewrote a lot of dialogue on set.
Did he did he write his character's jokes?
I believe he did write his character's jokes, or at least pulled them out of a large joke book. Yes.
About his girlfriend's large vagina.
Yeah.
So many.
The pussy jokes are a bit much, but that does bring us to a segment. Which pussy joke is better? The Echo joke? Or what is the first one in the helicopter?
The I'd like a little pussy. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Mine's as big as a house. And everybody just like blink. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is interesting because I actually like that one. I think that's the funnier one.
See, you're voting the play on words rather than okay.
Yeah, the echoing.
Yes. Yeah. Megan, what say you?
I'm gonna go with the Echo one. I think it's a little, you got to think about it a little more.
You do. When we've talked for a while now, you've always had a little Billy in you, in that at a certain point you probably strip down, run a machete across your chest, and like, I'm going to take on this alien myself.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
The same place Billy does, on a giant log
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
the
say
middle of the jungle.
and then realize immediately I have made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
This is a terrible idea. But we'll get to Billy. Let's talk Hawkins. So yeah, he definitely did polishes on the dialogue. Speaking of Billy, he writes one of my favorite Shane Black exchanges. When who is the character who says it is Pancho, says, oh, what do you mean you're afraid, Billy? You ain't afraid of no man. And Billy turns to him and says, what's out there ain't no man. That's a good fucking line.
Yes. We're all
if
gonna
I wrote
die.
that fucking line, I would not write for the rest of the day. I'd just be happy with that.
You know what else is a good line?
Yeah.
Is when Max stabs that scorpion,
Mm-hmm.
and Carl Weathers is like, thanks, like, just like, like, fuck you, man, for saving me from being stung by a scorpion. And Max, who from the minute we see him just just hanging onto his sanity by a thread.
Yes.
Before like anything even starts going down.
Oh my God.
He's just like anytime, which is become a running gag with me and my ex-husband for years. It still is like, oh, hey, thanks for taking care of that thing for me anytime. But because it becomes a really creepy thing, because you realize, oh, the Predator has the ability to kind of almost like record like the voices it hears and uses it to trick people.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a creepy little thing that it can do.
Mhm.
Yes. It's a really fun trick. And several films have tried that sort of thing since, and it never quite works as well as it does in the original Predator. It's fun because
also that scene also was a nice scene of okay, how big is this thing that we're dealing with?
Yeah.
Because you see like this kind of smallish but still considerably sized scorpion that Mac has caught, and that's just this little blip on the Predator's massive hand.
Yeah.
This giant mitts. Yeah.
Surprised he didn't eat it.
Fucking nuts.
Frankly.
Who's to say he didn't?
Like,
Maybe he
ooh,
put it
nom,
in
nom,
his
nom.
satchel for later.
Yeah, he's got so many
What does
pouches.
Predator eat? What does he eat?
I'm pretty sure they eat meat. I'm pretty as a study, as a biologist.
Yeah, I mean, he does skin them, so I mean, he must do something.
Well,
with,
those
like,
are for
the
trophies. Like this is
Yes.
so. The movie I'm pitching the movie. The movie opens with a spaceship.
Uh-huh.
And you see like the little like pod go down to Earth, which I half like, because it's like, okay, it explains why there's only one. Because I do feel like there are people watching the movie who think, well, aren't there usually more aliens? But also I dislike, because I think we get that it's an alien. Opening with the spaceship is a little like,
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
very, very true. Yeah.
But it's like their initiation, basically. So he's just collecting parts to take home and show his mom.
That's why he shines up a nice skull
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah, like I said, he's gonna bring it home for Mama Predator.
Yeah.
She could turn it into a vase or a drinking vessel or a nice doorstop.
Sure.
Well, we
If
see
you've
that
got a
in
light
Predator
door.
2 when we see the ship, and they're just like, this is my trophy room. If you'd like to look at my stuff. Got some good stuff.
This
Wouldn't it
is
be
my
funny?
stuff.
Wouldn't it be funny if like the Predator's like kicking back with a nice Impossible burger?
Like, oh, I'm not eating that. Oh.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm killing these people, and I'm like, I'm stripping them of their, the flesh and meat off their bones. But I'm not eating them.
No,
Like,
that's
gross.
gross. Have you tasted human? They're gross.
Do you see what you people do? Excuse me. Like, oh. Ew.
I mean, Mac probably just like lives on a diet, just literally like smoking a cigar down to the stub and just eating it, just munching on it like a pretzel nub.
I love that when they all get out of the helicopter, Mac is in a full suit. Like where did he think he was going?
I don't know. He's dressed to the nines. Other people have polos on. And he's like, I just came from a business meeting.
Where did they find a polo shirt to fit Arnold Schwarzenegger in so much as it does?
I don't know.
Yeah, I want to pose a question to the two of you. A person I follow on Twitter recently watched this movie and stated that he thought that this was the best that Schwarzenegger has ever looked in a movie. And I want to see if either of you agree with that.
I would agree with that. I would.
Just the polo shirt. He's smiling at everybody. He's doing that now iconic, smacking hands together with Carl Weathers, having a handshake off. I love that. Have you ever done that with anyone, Patrick? Just like meeting maybe a dude that maybe was also interested in Becky around the same time you met her, and like, hey, how's it going, man? Both of you are like, the veins are bulging.
I do like when I greet people just yelling, "You son of a bitch!" as loudly as humanly possible. I don't know if they don't stop for a second to maybe reconsider whether to say hi to you. You made a friend. It's too late. We're gripping at that point. It's oily gripping.
Oh,
the best
so
kind.
Sweaty. Which is sweatier, this or chud?
It's well, it's almost like everyone's got the Rock disease, where they've all baby oiled themselves within an inch of their lives.
Not these guys.
Well, see, I mean, Predator has a better excuse for being, sweaty because, it gets bad here in New York. It doesn't get in the middle of the jungle bad.
Right.
Now,
exactly.
maybe Florida gets that bad, but New York doesn't get that bad. Although I would not have been. I feel like Chud really lacks of a scene of Daniel Stern just idly walking into a scene dry shaving.
Oh my god!
Like it just seems like something he would do because he's such a scumbag in it. But you all know my brief moment of viral celebrity with my on Twitter with my making a joke about how the most horrifying part of Predator is Mac's habit, whether nervous or soothing or otherwise, of dry shaving.
Yes.
And it weirdly took off. Many of the comments were from men saying that because he was so sweaty, he was not, in fact, dry shaving. To which I say, okay, get really sweaty and try to shave and see how well that worked out for you.
Yeah. No. It's gonna hurt, and it's going to it's not that your skin doesn't like that. It's sweat is not something that's so it's such a great lubricant that it's going to help you with actual fucking shaving. If I attempted that, my face would fall off, Gina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think you want to be walking around the jungle with raw exposed skin on your face.
No, the very idea of being in something that humid, constantly shaving yourself down as if just your head is going to swim from Britain to France is fucking insane.
It's what he does because he does not, he does not chew.
He has zero chill.
He's got no dip.
He comes off that helicopter in a full suit. Like he must have had a business meeting with his lawyer or something like that. And the second he gets into the jungle, he's like, if I find you doing anything wrong, I'm going to kill you real quick. I mean, he's
gonna bleed you. Gonna bleed you.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
I love the phrase, gonna bleed you real quiet.
Gonna carve your name into him.
And the thing is, you fucking believe him.
Yeah.
He is believable.
Yeah, from Jump Street, he's got them crazy eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like,
but
this
he doesn't
your guy, huh?
Oh, no, he's straight.
You're going to hire this, you're going to, no.
So before we get to Mac, we do have to talk about former Navy SEAL, former wrestler, former governor, current crackpot, Jesse Ventura as Blaine. It's interesting. There's a lot of parallels. It's just weird how things come together. We're coming off of just talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, which has a lot of paranoia, which Predator revisits. It's The Thing is a completely male cast. This is a mostly male cast. And then on top of that, we have This year we talked about The Running Man on Patreon. And Jesse Ventura, while I don't like him personally, and I kind of don't like him professionally, is 100% a charisma performer. He's both 100% authentic and 200% fake at the same time.
I mean, he emerged from the womb of a professional wrestler. Like that was like that was, you talk about someone just born into their chosen profession.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he had a military background, he talks in special features about this and in retrospectives, like it was a complete fucking cakewalk. He was watching a bunch of people trying to one up one another. He's like, I'm not involved in this or anything like that. And then he finds out from the wardrobe department that his arm measurements are 1 inch larger than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh shit.
And he's like, oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. Like, I've got this guy dead to rights, Mr. Olympia. And it turns out that Schwarzenegger had them tell him that and then bet him money who had the bigger arms, and his were 3 inches bigger. He's basically set the motherfucker up. And that's why I still like Arnold Schwarzenegger a little bit more to this very day.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I particularly enjoy that Blaine is such a character in this movie that even the other characters are kind of like,
yeah.
Dude.
Like, none of them take him seriously.
I ain't got time to bleed. Okay.
All right. You might want to cover that up before it gets infected. Just going to put that out there. Maybe not right this very second when we're in a gunfight, but like eventually. Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Might want to take that down a notch.
Like, why don't you just chill out for a second? Like, no, okay, we're just gonna, all right.
No, and he's got Old Painless, the biggest fucking gun in any goddamn movie, and it literally took strapping it to a helicopter in the Matrix to get anywhere close to outdoing it. It is very cool to look at, that gun. As much as I dislike guns as a general rule, this is that's just fucking awesome. What that gun does. It just turns things into pink mist.
Just a pile of goo.
Not everything.
Disintegrates. Yeah.
Sorry, Blaine.
People become atoms at a certain point. But yeah, like none of the squad ever take any of his threats or self-aggrandizement seriously at all. But he and Max still have a legit relationship. I trust you. We've been through a lot of things. I have genuine good feelings and thoughts about you. But when shit flies out of your mouth, I just brush it off.
They're the
we all want that kind of friendship.
Yeah, friendship.
We do.
I'm just gonna friendship.
Okay, so well, here's a preview, everybody. Because we're going to talk about the sexual nature of Predator. Not here, though, because we've been told by one reviewer that we're too sexual. So we're going to take that shit to Patreon. And if you want to hear all the sexy side of Predator, I mean, the really weird shit, you're going to have to pony up because we're going to talk about all of it there. It's shit that's going to peel back your wig.
Peel back your face.
Speaking of which, the Predator peels back Blaine's chest, blows it wide fucking open. He goes out real hard. And then Mac comes in like, oh, I'm going to get my revenge on whatever did that. And they just mow down the forest.
Oh,
God.
They just shoot the jungle.
They shoot the jungle.
For like 20 minutes. I don't even know how long that scene is.
It's a while. And the weird thing is that no actual bullets are fired. They actually have this explosive cord that you use to light off explosives. And they just strung it across the jungle. And lit it all off, and it just comes off like wherever it contacts the foliage, it just explodes. And yeah, it goes on for over a minute. It's pretty fucking wild. And they're like, all right, see if what we hit out there. And like, nothing.
Yep.
We hit nothing.
I just love that no one stops to think about anything. They're just like, well, we're shooting. I'm going to shoot.
You know, I think it just goes to show you that they trust that if Mac is shooting at somebody and Blaine is dead on the ground, he must have some sort of bead on whoever did this. And so they're going to back his play and empty all their guns in this general direction and assume that whoever is out there is going to be dead.
Big pair of glowing eyes.
Which is probably the jankiest thing in this movie.
Yeah.
In my
I think
estimation.
that's the shakiest that the special effect ever gets. Because the scenes where the Predator is, cloaked are so good because it's just such a, I think I see something, but it's, am I seeing something?
It's a weird little like ripple in the air.
Yeah.
Which is
the scene with Blaine, not Blaine, with Mac later on, where he's just like, it's past there, where you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Oh shit, there is something over there. The hell?
Well, there's so many sequences where they just show, the jungle in the background, and you're like, is the Predator there? Is the Predator not there? They do that enough times where you're never quite sure where the Predator is. He's always there in spirit, even if not there in a corporeal form.
He's always with us.
Yes. Clutch your Predator sack close to your bosoms, because he is always
light your Predator saint candle.
Do those exist?
I mean, probably. Yeah, I'm sure Etsy has one somewhere.
God.
Yeah, that seems like something you could find on Etsy.
Note to self.
So yeah, Mac then goes into a state of paranoid delusion from that moment on. It's just all whispering and looking into the middle distance.
The minute he shows up on screen, he's just kind of hanging by a thread.
Yeah, that was it.
I'm not sure why he's still part of this elite attack squad.
Blaine was his thread.
Yeah. Yes. Blaine is his safety blanket in a lot of ways, because he does tell that story later on, like to no one, by the way, where he's like, we've been in the jungle and everyone died. They just became meat and we walked out alone. And you're like, okay, who are you telling this to?
Just telling
nobody.
It's like telling Blaine's corpse.
Telling his ghost to spirit. Well, no, because
And
Blaine's
for the rest
corpse
of the
gets
movie-
stolen their noses. The Predator says,
This is mine. Yoink.
gotta take this. Sorry.
And then Mac just like literally his brain snaps and he just slaughters 30 to 50 to a single feral hog all at one time. And from that moment on, it's just kind of complete nutburger. But they end up living through the night of their little encampment. But yes, Blaine's body is stolen, and then they get a clue that the Predator is out there because he's bled, and that's when you get Arnold's line, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." And so they hunt after the Predator now in the direction of the helicopter pickup. And there's these great scenes with Bill Duke and Carl Weathers where Bill Duke is like, you're not sure if he's just going to kill him out of duty, if he's just going to reach across and slice a knife across his neck, or he's just like, well, I need you right now and I'll kill you after. But he's not real happy to be working with Carl Weathers.
No.
Nobody is really.
No one likes him. Has anyone in any movie reacted as alarmed to see a lady as everyone in this movie?
Well, it's a little bit of a He-Man's, woman haters club in that crew. Like they talk a big talk, but there's also a feeling like it might be all talk. You know what I mean? Like no one talks about having a wife and kids at home or anything like that. They've got their own mesh shirts to go home to, if you know what I mean. And I think you do.
They see that Anna is Anna, and they all just like basically drop their guns and go, "It's a good girl." She's going, "Yeah, like I'm a gorilla. Like that's a thing." Surprise!
Who let her in here?
Yeah, I saw a sign that said "No girls," but you are clearly here.
Yes. And she keeps trying to escape, and she causes about half the deaths in the motion picture. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, yeah, she's going to cause half of our deaths. And Carl Weathers like, we need her.
She's just hanging out. Where's she supposed to go?
Yes, that's very true. Mac gets his face full on exploded.
But then later has a face. So I wrote this in my notes. Okay. Because I write notes.
Sure.
So one, he looks, which I don't think he would look, because he sees the Predator's like laser sight on his arm. And then he's like, well, what's that? Let me look. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. We get an amazing shot of him, his head exploding on the camera.
Yes.
But then when Carl Weathers sees him, his face is looking at him. And like, there's no way there's that much of his face left.
I agree with you. One part of that has got to be a reshoot. And I'm guessing it's the face exploding when Stan Winston comes on board, that they're like, let's explode a face. You know how to do that, Stan. He's like, give me 10 minutes and some Caro syrup.
He's just got it in a bag. He's like, you got an exploding face.
he's always got a head to explode. So that's my guess.
As I put in my notes, Mac is getting a November Rain funeral.
Yes. So in the wedding dress with the exploded head, do you feel like?
Yeah.
And
the whole shebang.
So like who's like, like sitting at his graveside, just like looking up with like, poetically rain falling on him.
I mean, it would have to be Arnold because he's the only one left.
Well, that's true, yeah.
With a theater tape on, crying in the rain.
I was gonna say, like, somebody tosses us like Mac, a flashback of Mac in Happier Days. He like just tosses a big razor in the air, then it like morphs into like roses on top of the coffin.
Anna's not going because she didn't really know him. She's like, oh, I don't really know you guys.
But
actually.
who's so like the ghost of Blaine is playing a guitar outside of a church with a top hat on?
God, please. I hate this.
And then Billy is jumping through a cake made of bones, I suppose. Why not? So that brings us to Dylan Carl Weathers. And the movie's fucking stacked with charisma. There's just a lot of charisma on display here. And Carl Weathers just doesn't get the due that he's owed. I think like when he was, sort of brought back into the popular culture with Arrested Development and Baby, You Got a Stew going on, people are like, Carl Weathers, everyone. Like, we have Carl Weathers. And I don't think he's given quite the status that he is owed in terms of his personality and what he was like in the 80s. He's both larger than life and very home on earth. And he's given the hardest task of the entire film. That is to be viewed as capable, slightly out of his element, and duplicitous all at the same time. That's a lot to put on one actor in what is as ostensibly a movie of meatheads getting blown apart by an alien. And he does it. Like, he comes across as a contemporary, as someone you don't trust. And like, he's fucking great in this movie.
Yeah, no, he is.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to forget every time until I watch Predator that he was also jacked.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things that I know that. It's like, oh, obviously, like I know that, but I watch, The Mandalorian and I'm like, he's not jacked. Like, it's Grogu's grandpa. Like, come on.
Sure. Yes.
And
I like that he's come back, that people are really trying to remind the world that Carl Weathers was one of our greatest. And I know we try not to be horny on Maine on this show, but he's really fucking hot in this movie, everyone. He's the hottest dude in this movie.
Yeah, he's probably the easiest. He's probably the easiest on the eyes
Really?
of.
Smile?
No, I mean he's very handsome, but I personally think Pancho is the handsomest.
Okay.
For myself.
Sure. I mean, he has a TV handsomeness, which is understandable considering like most of Richard Chavez's career was on TV. But in terms of like daddy material, Carl Weathers.
I do like that the sitcom style, reintroducing all the characters and credit sequence. I do like the wink at the camera, like, "Hey, thanks for watching me."
That's probably what did it. I'll be honest. It's probably every time I watch it, it's probably that wink. It's like, oh, Pancho. Golly.
I mean, even Shane Black was like kind of a cutie in that. He's like looking up for his comic book. Hey, hi, I'm in this too.
Meanwhile, I don't think Arnold knew that's what they were doing. No one told him he'd already left.
Yeah, no, they just use an outtake from the movie.
He was gone already.
Where everybody's all like, we're dead now.
And McTiernan's like, we're gonna do this thing where we say goodbye to the whole case. Like, I don't do that. I'm off to my next movie.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah. Carl Weathers, or Dylan rather, loses an arm and then gets stabbed to death with the Predator's Wolverine claws.
It's a wrist gauntlet.
Gets lifted off the ground by an invisible man.
It's a wrist gauntlet. Okay. Oh boy.
So let us move on to Billy, played by Sonny Landham. Sonny had previously worked on another film for the producers called 48 Hours. He's really great in that role. A film that is excellent, filled to the brim with casual racism, but that being said, it's a great movie and he's really great in it. He has one of the worst reputations in Hollywood. He was married 5 times and he ran to the right of Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. So that's what he is, everybody. And that being said, he is fucking charismatic as fuck whenever he is on screen. Mm-hmm. It's amazing that all this wattage is playing. And if it just doesn't, I don't understand when we started going through these reviews, why no one watching this is like, wow, that's a really engaging performance. Maybe I should give them the benefit of the doubt. And like, no, there's a special effect. P.U.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it took a very long time, like probably well into the 90s, before action movies were regarded as anything other than, big, dumb, loud wastes of time. Yeah. I don't even know what I don't even know if I can even name off the top of my head what movie might have changed that. But, even if actors really were giving their all and giving, memorable performances, playing characters that stuck with you, critics were very, and same thing can be true of horror movies where, critics were very short-sighted and focusing more on what the movie was about and what kind of genre it was. And rather than paying attention to, okay, are these memorable characters who make an impression on probably limited time they're on screen, because more often than not they end up getting killed off, or are you going to focus on, well, I don't like these kinds of movies where people go up and blow up a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Sonny has that, I think it's a bit of a trope, but I from what I've heard, Prey is kind of paying homage to that character in a sense of trying to take the, indigenous character, the First Nations sort of cast, and trying to make those people real in a Predator movie. And I have a lot of hope for it to be that. I would love for it to be that. But we'll see.
Love that they did avoid, there is no mystical music whenever Billy is looking into the jungle.
No pan flutes or anything.
I mean, they paid for that theme, and they're going to use that theme.
Yes, they've got 3 things.
And there it is.
And they're going to use them all.
But I've always been very grateful for that, because I feel like it would have been very easy for them to do just a little mystical pan flute, just a little tiny bit when he's looking out into the jungle.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah, he didn't give any kind of like monologue about, once my people told stories about.
No, I mean there is that monologue, but Anna gets it.
Anna gives it, yes.
Yeah,
much later than it could have helped anyone.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Anna is like, by the way, this happens all the time.
Yeah. By the way, we all know this happens. Like,
we have a name for it. This is what it does. We don't know where it comes from, but it happens all the time.
Yes. Anyways, we'll get to her. Let's talk about Megan's sweetie, Poncho, who literally knows the instant he hears the cabinet minister's story. He's like, this is bullshit. We all know this is bullshit, right? He reads that room very quickly. No one listens to him. He gets smashed in the chest with a giant log, and he's like, I can make it. Spoiler alert, he does not make it. Also, spoiler alert, I just learned that he's in Night Eyes 2. So stay tuned for Kill by Kill After Dark when it returns. We're going to have to hit Night Eyes 2 now, Gina.
Okay. Is it still, are we still talking Andrew Stevens here? Or
yes,
is he only Night
back.
Eyes 1? Okay.
No, both of them are back for the sequel, and Richard Chavez is in it. So now we have an extra reason to bring back After Dark. And so those are all the people who kind of die, with the exception of the Predator, but we talked about Kevin Peter Hall. There are survivors. We have the aforementioned Anna, who suffers from a serious case of mute woman syndrome, up until the point where they need her to tell everyone there's a backstory. So that's the one kind of janky part of this. Of note, she still works to this day. She's going to have a movie that comes out next year. And previous to this, she had worked both in English and Spanish language TV and movies. And I remember her most from Oliver Stone's Salvador, a movie when she gives the best performance in the movie, which is hard to say given that you get to watch James Woods and Jim Belushi get smacked around and tortured, which is very fun. I've come around on Jim Belushi, but when people hit James Woods, I'm like, yay! It just feels right.
Hit him again. Hit him again.
Harder. And of course, Dutch Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, we were talking earlier about, is this the best he's ever looked? I will come right out and say, I think, in my estimation, this is actually the best he's ever acted.
Yes.
I think this is when he figures out how to act on screen, because he's stiff in Conan the Barbarian. He's an emotionless robot in Terminator. Those are things he can do. But whenever he's asked to look like you're in love with this impossibly beautiful woman, he's like, oh, it doesn't work. And here he's like smiling and engaged and listening to the person he's having a scene with. He figures it out. And this is his first great performance. And for whatever reason, people just didn't in Commando, Gina, let's cast our mind back. He has to be reminded to breathe a lot of that movie.
Yes.
He's supposed to care for this child. And half the time you're like, why is he doing this again? Oh yeah, his daughter was kidnapped. But you could almost forget that, because he never displays an, oh no, I got to get back to my daughter emotion throughout most of that movie.
My favorite part of Commando is the montage at the beginning of him trying to act like a regular dad.
Oh my
That's
God.
like that's I just love it so much. Somebody posted just a clip of that online. I watched like 6 times in a row.
So,
when he's trying to make small talk with her about like, why do they call him Boy George? He looks like a girl.
Why does it do that, huh? Like, who are you talking to? What when she bops him in the nose with that ice cream cone, and he looks like, I'm going to murder you. Like, that's the first genuine emotion he has, and it's not the emotion you want. And he doesn't eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich convincingly in that sequence. Like,
he's trying to teach her karate, wearing these little tiny shorts.
Oh I mean, he looks. That is another movie where he looks good, but he does not act good at all. It's just he's stiff as fuck. And here he has an inner life. He actually seems to have a character that he's playing. It may not be entirely removed from him, but he's actually developed a movie star persona to actually attach his performance to based on what he does here.
I would also say that I think it's one of his best characters, even though you wouldn't think it's much of a character. But there's, like you said, there's a lot. You believe that this is a guy who these are his guys. Like, you know, when he tells Dilla, like, my men are not expendable. You know, you believe it. It's not just my men are not expendable. It's like fuck you. Like, these are real people and these are my people. And whereas I think by, say, like, Sabotage, it's like, you don't know who any of these people are.
Right. Yes. He loses his verve for caring about human life. I'm not entirely sure he's been able to revive that in a motion picture. I think he's been able to revive that in his life. So that's good. I wish he had done that when he ran for governor. But
he got that little horse or whatever it is.
Yeah. He's got that little horse. He cares for that little horse, all right. The end of this movie is fucking fantastic. We could talk about it for hours and hours, but ultimately, everyone knows what happens. Kevin McAllister's his way into killing a fucking alien. It's great.
The alien's like, by the way, did you know I have a bomb?
I am
Surprise.
a bomb.
I got a bomb.
So you thought you won, but honestly, when I lose, I also kind of win. He's like, oh no. And he runs as fast as he can from a nuclear fucking explosion. And of course, he lives.
I type like the Predator because I have the same nails. So it's like, I totally get that. Look at you with your little tap screen. I get it. I feel it, buddy. You and me, friend.
Are there memes where the Predator has long nails, like they put all the Avengers with long nails?
I don't know.
On Twitter?
I kind of, unfortunately, I'm not really part of like internet, the Predator like fandom because, well, to be fair, it's a lot of dudes and sometimes it's a little like, what do you know? You're a girl. Like,
I know all about his mesh top.
I know all about his mesh top.
You need to know.
What planet he's from. Like, you know.
Well, you're going to tell everyone exactly what you know and where you learned it from on Patreon. But before we get to that, we have to choose our own death venture. That's where we decide of the 30 billion deaths in this motion picture. If you were forced to die that way, which one would you choose and why? Up for bid, we have die in a helicopter crash, get skinned alive, get shot 1 million times, or get shot and then blown up 1 million times. How about death by machete to the chest and then told to quip? That's hard to take. Openly slashed across the face, lasered through the heart, death by swinging log eventually, laser head explosion, disarmed and gutted. Whatever happens to Billy, I don't know. Maybe he gets a big hug. We never fucking find out. We just hear his scream. Yeah. Well, that's right. He kind of pulls out his spine and skull at the end. So I'm assuming he was dead before that.
He was already dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Laser to the head. And of course, die in a nuclear explosion. So, Megan, you're our guest, and so that means you go first.
I am choosing die in a nuclear explosion because he goes out laughing.
Yeah.
Like he failed. He failed his initiation, but you know he's gonna take everyone else out with him.
Do you think he has a little plaque in his spaceship that's like live, laugh, love sort of thing in his home language?
Probably.
It's another thing.
Live, laugh, skin.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, skulls.
It's that meme I made of the Predator from Predator 2, you know, thriving in my lane, moisturized.
Yeah, I can see it. Gina, what say you?
You know, I'm gonna take Blaine's Way Out because you know he's getting to see, he gets to see a little critter. You know, he's I don't know what that thing was, a porcupine or something. It was some sort of like little furry creature, just you know, and he looks, you know, amused right before he, you know, takes a cannonball right through the chest. But you know, he doesn't really see it coming. He's just sort of like he's taken unawares and just dies immediately. So I think I really want someone just completely lose their mind when I die. Just like just snap and then spend, you know, their limited time left on this planet talking about the good times with me. I want that.
Leaving you with a little flask of hooch in your poncho.
Exactly. You know, if I get stolen and, you know, skinned or eaten or my skull made into a trophy, that's fine. I'm not going to know. I'll be dead.
What is your tolerance for chewing tobacco? Because there's a lot of chewing tobacco in your.
That is true. I mean, I probably already have, you know, jaw cancer or something, but it's a small price to pay.
You get a kicky hat, so you got that going for you.
Exactly. Nice mustache. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with turned into pink mist when I'm in a tree. Those people don't exist very long. They just get atomized, and I like it. I would like to die in a tree. Sure, why not? I don't like heights, but there's something about it that's appealing to me. I'm a mystery. That just about does it. You know, Josh Hollis does all of our artwork. Revenge Body does our music. Go to Revenge Body Memphis at Bandcamp for an entire album of remixes. Until further notice, all the profits and proceeds from the sale of that album will be going to Memphis Choices, a foundation in Memphis that helps people get the health care they so rightly deserve. Megan, you're our guest. Tell people where they can hear and see more from you.
I am the co-host of Let's Get Weirding, a Dune podcast, where my co-host Bo North and I are reading Frank Herbert's Dune series chapter by chapter. We are 3 chapters till the end of Children of Dune. And I am also a staff writer at The Spool, where I review movies and TV. And you can find me on Twitter at MP Sunday, where I make Predator memes.
Yes. And talk about Star Wars. And you're very good about it. Gina, where can people find you and these here internets?
I write about television and movies at thespool.net. I am also working on a little side project with our friend of the show, Joe Lipsit, and Jen Adams, who is a wonderful podcaster and writer. It's called White Ladies in Crisis. We have been currently covering the little seen, tragically, Apple TV series Physical. So you can look for us there. And I am also on Twitter under Gina Does Things, where I spend most of my day talking to Megan back and forth, honestly. So if you want a little taste more of what you're getting here, find us there.
Yes, it's that. It's a little bit of our text thread that we have constantly going. It's just online for everyone to see. You can rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice. We greatly appreciate it. That would be super nice if you did that. Find us on Twitter, on Facebook, through the group, the Instagrams. We do it all. On Patreon, we have lots of fun stuff to listen to, including we're talking about Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, grimiest Halloween 2, which is saying something, and that just about does it. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. Join us on Patreon for sexy predator times. For myself, for Gina, and for Megan. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
From the depths of space, Dracula has devised his most dastardly plan yet, turning the residents of a small American town into his personal army of vampire zombies. Now it's up to a motley crew to band together and save the world from vampire zombies. From Space, an upcoming comedy feature film that satirizes and pays homage to B-movie horror and sci-fi films of the 1950s. A mix of Ed Wood, Mel Brooks, and South Park. Now's your chance to get involved with this gut-busting, laugh-out-loud gore fest by backing our film on Kickstarter. Not only are you helping to bring this film to life, but you can snag some killer rewards. T-shirts, Blu-rays, and even cameo in the film. Visit VampireZombiesMovie.com and click the Kickstarter button. That's VampireZombiesMovie.com.